योगेन योगो ज्ञातव्य योग योगात् प्रवर्तते यो प्रमत्तस्तु योगेन स योगी रमते चिरम. No yoga through yoga. Advance towards yoga through yoga. One who is alert in yoga will attain the goal of yoga. So it's an old sloka. The topic today is yoga psychology. As we know that this psychology is based on the philosophy of the Sankhyas. And the Sankhya system philosophy is a very ancient, one of the most ancient philosophies in the world is the Sankhya system, Sankhyayate. That is, those who enumerate all the various aspects of nature. And they dissect it and they kind of analyze it. So it's called a Sankhya. Another word for Sankhya is knowledge. So once you enumerate certain things, you get a knowledge of that and its connections. So this yoga and Sankhya, they are kind of complementary philosophies. We also have two other complementary philosophies. That is the Nyaya and Vaisheshika, the logicians, and those who analyzed the external nature, what we call as atomist. They said that the whole universe is made of atoms, the Vaisheshika. So, and then we have the Vedanta, the Purva, the primary, or you can say the first part of the Vedas, and you can say Uttara, the latter, what we know as Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta. So these are complementary philosophies. Apart from this, we have a huge data on mind from these philosophies, of course, and also from the various Buddhistic schools. Huge. I mean, they did nothing but analyze the mind. They said, in the higher philosophies of the Buddhism, they said, there is no mind. They analyzed it and found there is no mind. And of course, if you don't have any mind, then there is no world outside. Out dismissed. And if there is no world outside, there is no God. That's a good. They go to the very extent. They don't go halfway. Yeah. Some people say, we'll retain this and we'll dismiss that. No. Dismiss the whole thing out. So the dialectics are fantastic in some of these commentaries. What Shankaracharya and what the Vedantic scholars, they put one school against the other, Buddhistic school. And you have a kind of a debate amongst yourselves and you decide. And then slowly, Advaita Vedanta raised the final superstructure. But then even in the Jaina philosophies, we have the discussion of the mind. Okay. So all these, somehow people have been just trying to study what's a mind. So we will take a few aspects of this yoga and Sankhya aspect. Some aspects, because it's really vast. And if you can understand a bit about this, it will actually help us in our spiritual practices. And apart from that, we can know when things pop out in our mind. Why, where, how? We ask. We know the answers. And after knowing this, I was innocent and why did this happen to me? Oh yes, why? You paved the way, you've forgotten it. So, we know psyche is, in Greek mythology, it's a soul, it's a breath of life, and these. And the Romans took it, they kept the concept of the psyche, but they named it anima. It's anima. It's like the animates. But now we know what the psyche is: personality, identity, individuality, ego, mind, spirit. The whole law, you can say, a host of meanings have been attached to this. And behavior, that also. And the mind. What is the mind? And the spirit. Okay, fine. So all these things have been attached to the words. And psychology is a study of, as we know, so there's clinical psychology and behavioral psychology and the depth psychology and the cognitive psychology, and then we have social psychology and the whole human development psychology and sports psychology. The applications are endless. And it's true, because these are mind sciences and everything starts with the mind. Even sports starts with the mind. If the athlete is restless, that person is not going to win. So that's the reason why human development, you can say, is connected intimately with psychology. And that's why it's become such an important branch of today's sciences. Because more than that, society today is so stressful. I mean, everything gives you stress. You walk on the street, you're stressed. You drive, you're stressed. You go shopping, you're stressed. You go do anything. You meditate, you're getting stressed. Why? So, to understand this, to de-stress, you can say, it's important. So when we close our eyes and then we see, okay, we see certain things, screen of the mind. This is the screen of the mind. Oh, that's just the tip of the iceberg. People say this is the mind. This is just a tip of the iceberg. It's like you are watching a kind of a screen that hides a door behind. And it's a door to a large mansion which has many rooms. And in those various rooms are the various boxes and racks and storage. And you have collected all these knickknacks and brickbats, all these things over the years. They all stored there. We've forgotten all of them. And we close our eyes and think, oh, and then this is meditation. This is not meditation. This is just a kind of a screen there. You keep on plunging inside, you'll say, my God, I don't want to do any meditation. Yes, many people get dissuaded from, there are so many things inside, there are so many rooms in this mansion of mine. But then we have created that. And there's only one person can enter into that, is you. And only one person can clear the whole thing, that's you. No one can do it. So either you do it today or tomorrow. There you have to plunge it, you have to go inside, you have to do it. So no, will God help me? No. The yoga philosophy, they do bring in the concept of God, but he's like, Purvesham api Guru. He is the first Guru. And in him is knowledge which is infinite. So, Niratishaya, Jnana. So, but then apart from that, the Sankhya philosophy, they did not bring, there was no need for any God. And why should you have a God everywhere? Your God is here, God is there, God is there. Everywhere God. So there are some people who said dismissed all this. The Buddhist, the higher Buddhist philosophy, they removed all. We don't want God. We had enough of God. In India, everywhere you go, do this religiously, do that religiously, that God is looking you to, that God is going to hear you, that God is going to speak to you. We had a God up till here. And some people said, no more God. It reminds me of a kind of a, there are a few South Indians, they go to watch a movie. And they go to watch a movie, and South Indians are really little active, So in the movie they are seeing, there are two young boys, they are watching this movie. And they see one housewife, she's slowly opening the tap, and then she's looking at her husband, who's sitting quietly, reading the newspaper. And she said, can I bring you a cup of tea? So, no reply. Only the newspaper shakes, kind of. Then she fills a kettle with that. She puts the kettle on the stove, fires the stove, the water boils, she puts in the tea leaves, and she drains the leaf, and she fills a cup of tea. And as she's going, the husband who's reading the newspaper, he brings the newspaper, and the cup falls down from her hand, and it's broken, and the tea is spilled. There's silence. And then after the silence, then the housewife says, I'll get you another cup of tea. Do you want another cup of tea? So before this person can say anything, these two boys said, no, we don't want another cup of tea. So even regarding God, God, we don't want God anymore. So the Sankhya philosophy dismissed that God out. The Buddhists dismissed it. The Jainas also dismissed it. We don't want this guy. And Vedanta, it removed all these gods, collected all these gods, and saying, dismiss them out and throw them outside the galaxies, outside the universe. And we say, oh, they made them transcendent. Don't come out here. Don't disturb us. So, to come back to this idea of this mind, you have to get into your own depths. And as you enter into your depths, that very entry purifies the mind. That's it. You don't have to do anything about it. It's just that you have forgotten. It is knowledge that will purify. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram. There is nothing more pure than knowledge. The Bhagavad Gita says, that's knowledge. So, like fire reduces wood to ashes, similarly knowledge reduces all those things that you've collected into ashes. It disables them. Okay. Now, when we have this, we say psychology. Oh yes. But in India, very strange, in the yoga and the, you can say, Sankhya philosophy, it was, psychology was linked to cosmology. You cannot have one without the other. Yes, that is the strangest thing. You cannot live alone. I have a mind which is alone. No, you have a mind that's connected. These things, this table and this mic and this chairs and all the people around here, they are part of the mind. This external world that I see is part of the mind. The mind has both the subject as well as the object. Mind cannot exist alone in my head here. Fortunately, they have found some neurons in the gut also, in the bellies also. So now they say there is something called the extended mind and all these things. Yeah. Fortunately, they are coming down to this. So it's part of the cosmology. Your psychology. You cannot have a mind that is kind of isolated or in a vacuum. You cannot. It will be not a mind anymore. So the mind itself, the cosmology, Sankhya cosmology has, there were some people who had come, a young man, saying, how do I control my mind? I said, you cannot control your mind. So he got so disappointed. I'll tell you what, you control your body first. What? Yes, that's what you do. You start controlling about the body is the grossest part of the mind. It is the mind. Swami Vivekananda say, you stop eating for 15 days and see what happens. You'll forget your own mind, your own name also. And then you eat a piece of bread and you remember your name. Oh. The piece of bread has become a mind. Piece of bread does not become the mind. We'll get down to this later, what actually happens. But the grossest part of the mind is the body. The little subtler part is called the vital force, prana. And that's why there are some now scientists, researchers who want to study the mind, so they are studying the vital force, they are studying life. The processes of life is giving rise to the mind, they say. That's a good advance. So, and then we have the mind. And the mind, oh yes, we have the whole memories and the intelligence and the egos. It's a kind of a tapering, subtler existence. So right from the body cannot work without the senses. And if you have a body and you have a senses, you have to have an external world outside. What are you going to do with your body and your senses and your life force, and if there is no external world where you are going to engage? If you cannot engage with people or engage with objects, you are a dead person. Obviously, a dead person does not engage with anything. So we have this kind of a spectrum, and that's what the yoga philosophy says, that it is one matrix that's giving rise to mind, matter, and life force. Yes, it is all one. Looked at it from a different spectrum, we say, oh, this is the mind and this is, it's not separate. And that's the reason why to control the mind, first thing you control the body. How do you be still? When you absolutely still, your breath becomes slow, feeble. You don't need so much breath there. Your breath becomes harmonious, and then your mind becomes still. There you are. You can do, of course, the reverse way. Keep your mind still, and the breath becomes still, and the body also becomes still. That's it. But generally, this has been recommended. Keep your body perfectly still. That's the first step in yoga. And then, as you keep on still, the nerves become still. They become rhythmic, and everything else becomes rhythmic. So, yeah, we'll come down to this. So these, how did this, does matter give rise to the mind, or the mind gives rise to the matter? The latest issue of Scientific American say, how the mind rises. Yeah. Does it matter? Yes, it matters. How the mind rises. From where? From matter. They say, really? So we say, the matter rises from the mind. But isn't it counterintuitive that you can say matter rises from the mind? Oh yes, it is. It's not counterintuitive. That is why they say that these people started the search from inside out. And the other researchers were studying things outside. Common sense view of things. I see this, I want to know what is this. How do I perceive? What is my cognition? And slowly from outside I come inside. But there are absolutely no differences between the internal and external. So we have something good. Swami Vivekananda says the mind element is so vast. It is more powerful. Matter is just a kind of a few waves on this ocean of the mind. Now when you have the ocean of the mind, we say the whole of creation has come from the Mahat. The first evolute, according to yoga, of nature is the Mahat, the cosmic mind. From the cosmic mind comes the sense of cosmic individuality, asmita, I. That's the cosmic I. People say, how do I remove this I? You cannot. It's impossible. Why do you want to? Who am I? There are people say, find out who you are. If you don't say it loudly, they might take you to an asylum. You say, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Oh, don't you know who you are? You need help. Of course, there are different approaches to spiritual life, but this is clear. The whole universe is from this I. Of course, this I, theologians will say, it's the I of God. It's a mind of God, Mahat. The cosmic mind of God gives rise to the cosmic sense of I. And from this I has emerged everything. What we know as the manas, the individual minds, the sensory organs, the motor organs, the 5 subtle elements called the tanmatras, and they combine and recombine, kind of a permutation, combination, and the gross universe is made. There it is. So these are the 23 or the 24 principles of the Sankhya, which the yoga takes. Here the whole thing has become now nice. So here it is. This whole thing is the mind. But what about matter? Matter is an illusion. Oh, really? Yes. When did matter really exist? Matter is an illusion. Thank God for science now. They are saying the same thing. And we are so glad about it. No, matter is an illusion. So, here we have this, you can see why psychology has to be connected with cosmology. It has to be. Your mind has to explain the external world. Your senses has to go to the external world to grasp and bring knowledge. So what is this? What is going on here? This is something called information. Wherever you have a mind, you have something called information. Obviously. And if you have a little more information, a different type of information, you have kind of a different energy. Matter, but E is equal to mc square, that we know, it is energy. So it's called, if you have a different type of information, that is called a sattva. Sattva is light and love and purity and knowledge, luminosity. This is the information in this energy. This energy has got this information. We know that there is no energy or no, you can say, ray of light without any information. Photons also carry the information. Here you are. And in today's world, everything is nothing but information. The more you have information, the greater you are. So you got to fill your system with this kind of information energy, the sattva. If you put a different type of information in that energy, greed and passion and anger and hate, all these things, yes, then you will have a different type of energy here in your mind. Then what happens is, if you have a different type of energy in you start really, of lassitude, of laziness, of hate, and you can say murderous tendencies and darkness in your mind. That's a tamas. So our mind is nothing but a mass of energy. Okay, mass. It's matter. And every matter, or every mind has this information, it's energy. It's energy. Yeah, yeah. That's the reason why we were just before the Vespers, you're talking about, oh, you take this food, take this food, take this. This is the mixture, this is the mixture. Keep your food simple. You are absorbing information through that food or matter into your system. And generally, some foods you cannot integrate within you. It takes a long time to integrate. So that's why they say, why do you want to disturb your system? That's why they say, eat foods that are easily digestible, sattvic foods. And so what happens, you integrate that information, that energy within you, and you become sattvic. You eat rajasic food, and then you become rajasic. You eat tamasic food, you become tamasic. If your mind and the matter outside food was not connected, it wouldn't have affected you at all. You could have eaten stones. Yeah, but if you eat stones also, you don't become a stone. It takes time for you to disintegrate that information, reintegrate that information within you. That's why they say, keep your food simple. How do you control your mind? Keep your food simple. If you're used to one particular food, eat it. Don't bring this and that, and you have 20 dishes. Oh, wow, what do I eat? I'll take a little of everything. You keep on taking, and then after you eat, you get tired. Oh, why? All that energy has not become integrated within us. That's the reason why, yes, you should have felt energetic after eating, but you are feeling exactly opposite. So there is something called, on one level, this karmic, your information energy. On the second level, there is something called karmic memory, your karma. Oh, that's a huge memory. So in our bodies, we have this genetic memory here, and we have known this. For it's a memory of million years, and then you have a memory of karma. That's another million years. Oh, probably a few billion years or a few zillion years. We do not know. We've been coming on and on and on and on and on. We haven't entered into that mansion of ours to see what exactly is there, to pull things out and burn it up. So, another thing we want to get to is here. This is an important aspect. How do we know all these things? Well, you see, when you go out on the freeway, you have a kind of a road. But it's a network. Roads are a network. Rails are a network. Planes also fly on a kind of a network. They have ships move. Everything. Your circulation also, the circulation has a kind of network. The oceans, they have those various currents, they are networks. Yes, the whole world is networked. Something called the Mandelbrot set. You know, you can iterate it over and over and over and over and over again. You can do it infinitely. So, yeah, that's a very strange. Then you have the solar system, that also is a kind of network. You have the Milky Way, that is a kind of network within the vastness of this universe. Everything is a kind of network. And the same network, there are nodes in the network. The same network, you will find it in your brain. There is one pattern that is iterated over and over and over again, and the whole universe is a pattern. There. It's a wonderful, you can say, finding. Yeah. So these patterns exist everywhere. Everywhere. from the smallest atom to the greatest, you can say. Why one galaxy or one? We have billions of galaxies, they say. It just means to say that we don't know. Billions. Oh, yeah. There are billions of cells, and not really billions, something less, but the connections are trillions. And the connections are those very nodes. And those nodes, it is all replicated all over nature. The whole thing is networked. Your phone is networked. Your computer is networked. Why should this thing does not stay? Why does your mind stay isolated then? No. I started with the premise that you cannot have something separate. You cannot exist in a bubble or vacuum. Everything is networked. This is that great fractal geometry. Fractals, you know fractals. These. You can explain the coastlines and the number of trees in the forest. They have a kind of a pattern. Yes, this was a great discovery by this mathematician, Benoit. I forget the name. It'll come to me. Mandelbrot, of course. Benoit Mandelbrot. It's a vast subject, and they found everything has a pattern. Everything. And you take one pattern, you expand it, you'll find a similar pattern within it. You expand that, you'll find it. You can do it infinitely below and infinitely up. So this whole thing is a kind of a network, that we are in a network. Idea comes now, how do you control a mind? And now your mind is a part of that cosmos. But somehow it has become individualized. And this individual, you can say mind, you say my mind and your mind and all these things. No, you have to explain it from both sides. I've been explaining it from the universal side, but from the individual side, it becomes like, it's like they say there's a wave in my mind, chitta vritti. Vritti is a whirlpool, and chitta is like a lake, Swami Vivekananda says. There's a whirlpool in the lake, and that is cognition. There is something called a diffused cognition. Diffused consciousness. And when the wave rises, it becomes self-consciousness. When I look at you, suddenly you become self-conscious. Yes, all this while you are okay. Then suddenly there's a wave in my mind that is self-conscious. I am raising a similar wave in his mind. So that is self-consciousness. Consciousness. So every vritti, every whirlpool in the mind makes one self-conscious. And it leaves a kind of a residue, number one. Secondly, this wave gives rise to an infinite set of other waves. That's why they say one wave gives rise to multiple waves. So that memory which was sleeping suddenly becomes self-conscious or becomes awake. Oh, I remember, This is what in the logicians called vyapti. That is, one wave in the mind gives rise to a series of waves, long series. So the law of causation is just one small part in this vyapti. So here we are. One wave in the mind gives rise to multiple waves. Infinitely, you can see long stretch of waves. When they depart, when it subsides, of course it does not subside. Like, one wave will give rise to the second wave, third wave, fourth. And then the third wave will give rise to another kind of, in a different direction, another wave. While this goes down, settles down, another wave rises, gives rise to. So you're flooded with waves, and these waves make one self-conscious. When I look at this, I am conscious of this. When I'm not looking at this, I'm looking at this, I'm conscious of you. That is self-consciousness makes me aware of it. When I go to sleep, there are no waves. I'm not conscious of anything. Neither the table, nor the chair, nor you, nor me. Everything is all gone. That's okay. It leaves a kind of a residue. This residue is called what is called the samskaras, the impressions. This is what forms the individual mind. Nothing else. Now, yoga says every impression is an obstacle to yoga. Well, every obstacle? Suppose I have knowledge of this. I have perfect knowledge or even imperfect knowledge. That doesn't matter. Will this knowledge stop me from attaining yoga? So the yoga philosophy says no. There are two sets of impressions. One is called the karmashaya and jnanashaya. Jnanashaya is I know all what is there to be known about this mic, or even I know very little of it. It doesn't matter. This will not obstruct me from attaining yoga. But if I say, this is my mic, I used it yesterday, there, you are caught. So it becomes karma ashaya. Ashaya is a kind of receptacle, a receptacle of karma. And you have another receptacle of knowledge, jnana. You have a So this knowledge receptacle will not injure you. It is beneficial and it will keep on, you can say, enhancing your life and your energy and all these things. It is this, the karma ashaya. That's the reason why people who attain the heights of samadhi, when they come down, they don't say, oh, what is this? Is this a mic? Is this a chair? Is this a table? If they do, they will say, where does this fool come from? We don't want something like samadhi. It's a kind of dementia. Who wants this kind of... no. That person becomes hyperactive because that person takes a recourse of jnana-ashaya, the receptacle of knowledge. This has been burnt. That's a karma-ashaya. Everything. I mean, this I and my, that holds this kind of individuality, holds you. And saying, this is mine. I had this black one and I should have had a nice white one. Myron, get a white mic. I like a white mic. But Myron will say, it's the same. It just projects your, transmits your voice. No, I want it. And I keep on. Then I'm creating this kind of karma. That's going to fructify later. It's not going to go away. It's going to remain there. So here we are sowing the seeds with I. My body. We're saying, no, that's not your body. It's not your body. It's my mind. It's not your mind. It's the universal mind there. It's the universal body out here. It's a universal energy. Suppose I say this energy, this electricity belongs to me. The electricity is crazy. This guy is gone crazy. And the same thing I'm saying, this body belongs to me. The mind belongs to me. Crazy. Yeah. Oh, what's wrong with this guy? So, we must try to break this habit. And how can you break this habit? By first understanding that the impressions that are in the mind, they are different forms rather. First is they are sleeping. It's called prasupta. You don't even know they are there. And then there's something called tanu. So I like chocolate ice creams, and I've been loving this for years and years. And then one day, the doctor tells me, "Hey Swami, you cannot have any chocolate ice creams anymore. you've got high blood sugar. You'll end up with diabetic. So every time the idea of chocolate ice cream comes in, the doctor's warnings also come. And my mind might go, hand might go, and pull back. So in time, what happened that the desire for chocolate ice cream becomes attenuated. It's called tanu. There's something called vichinna. One thing is linked to others. Like we had said, everything is network. That one impression is linked to hundreds and hundreds of impressions. Like, this is the table, and then it was, of course, you got to have a carpenter, and then you have to have a tree, and then you have to have a ground from which the tree is emerged. Then you'll have to find, this is the kind of a maple tree, and then we have a whole long list of impressions come. This is called a vichinna, scattered. And then certain things become expanded, unobstructed, uddharanam. Certain impressions, we just cannot let go. That thing keeps on whirling in our mind over and over again. It's kind of an obsession. Just let it go. No, I can't. Everybody tells you, just let it go. I can't. It's an obsession. I go in the dark and I start to, maybe there's a ghost. And then maybe it was Sri Krishna, I don't know. But even though my heart is palpitating, could be a ghost. And I can't get out of this idea. I keep telling 20 people, there's probably a ghost. It could be Sri Krishna. And every time I pass in, so this is what happens. You get this, that obsession just cannot let you go. It holds you. That's kind of uddharana. Okay, so this is how. Now, the individual mind, this is your individual mind. So we are having a lot of fun with this mind for so many years, and now it's becoming painful. Then, according to this energy that we were discussing about, the more information, a particular type of information the energy has, that is transferred to matter, which is with nothing but energy and matter is one, and it is information. All energy is information. All matter is information. There is no matter without any information. All the atoms and subatoms are nothing but, yes, even in the quantum world, it's all information. So, when the information inside in the mind is kind of, filled with lassitude and dullness and sleep, and which tends to vice, that is called the mood, the stupid mind. This is called a stupid mind. Yeah, it's a mood. It only acts to injure others. This is. Then we have something called restless mind. The energy is like different. I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do this and that. So that was tamas, this is rajas, rajoguna. And keeps on and starts burning itself out. And then it gets a little kind of, takes a breather or takes a break and then starts over again. It just cannot stand still. It's constantly. So this is called a kshipta, that's a scattered. Then there's a third type of, we can say, mind, that's called a vikshipta. Vikshipta is that it's occasionally calm and occasionally restless. Most of these spiritual aspirants have this type of mind. Kind of occasionally calm and occasionally kind of restless. And then we have the energy or the matter, when it becomes a little purified, it becomes concentrated. It's called ekagra, concentrated. Yes, there you are. This is the kind of mind that yoga says you ought to have for the practice of yoga. So many conditions. What do I? So the concentrated mind. And there's a highest, is called the niruddha, that is the concentrated and controlled mind. When concentration goes towards this, it reveals everything what is there. I know the past, the present, and future of this mic. I don't need any books to understand this. Knowledge simply focuses and expands. When I look at this table, I know its past, present, future. It comes in a flash. It's called, samashti jnana. It is a composite knowledge. My knowledge from the other sources of, you can say, the mind is just fragmentary. And I have to link this with this and this and this. In the niruddha state, the mind is full of this luminosity, light. You see a thing and you know the very nature, the very foundation of that particular thing. So this is a perfect status. Mind has been perfected. So this is higher and higher. Now, where do these things lie? When I look at this and I get a complete knowledge of it, we have been so long just talking about the subconscious. It's not actually. I went the other day to San Francisco, and then one Swami saying, "So Swami, did you sleep well?" I said, "It's not possible. On the first day, you cannot sleep well anywhere, except if we are too stupid or too tired." Then he's saying, the subconscious mind is constantly awake there. It's a new setting, a new environment. It is trying to protect you from any kind of unusual things, any dangers, anything lurking. It is awake. So if the subconscious mind is awake, you are going to be awake. Sorry. So it's a kind of a fragmented sleep. It's trying to constantly see the door might be not by locked, or someone have to enter, or something will happen. So the first night anywhere, it's always like that. We call it a subconscious mind. Actually, we are not conscious. It is awake. It is active. It is functional. Always. So it's a kind of a huge sea. And the waves on that sea are but the conscious mind. Like I said, the whirlpools on this ocean. That is a thin film, Swami Vivekananda says. And then there's a sky above. That is a superconscious mind. Really? Yes. But we don't know that we have a super mind. Yeah. You didn't know. You never looked. You never looked. And nobody told you, of course. You have a super. So you enter in there, and that is your real, you can say, dwelling. Somebody has come today and saying, I have this problem and that problem. I said, you need to build another stream of thought based on your real nature. That you are pure, you are compassionate, you are loving, you are kind. But you say, yes, this is actually your real nature. You have forgotten. You try to build a new stream. You cannot control the waves of your mind, or you cannot control your mind without taking recourse to these thoughts. That I am the spirit, I am the Atman, or I am God's child. Simply mechanically trying to control your mind. The mind will say, okay, fine, that's a good job you're going to do. And you keep sitting down. The mind will say, I told you, you can't meditate. Give it up now. Let's go and watch a movie. There. So you got to gradually build another layer of your personality, and taking recourse to that, then you can control. There are teachers that they take a wrong kind of, you try to control your breath and this and that, and people go crazy controlling the breath, prana. Of course, one day we'll look at this pranayama business in one of our talks. But this superconscious mind is a part of you. Every mind. Now, even if we are not aware, somewhere deep down, it comes through mythology. Mythology, Carl Jung did a great job in studying these mythologies of the world. Yeah, they are embedded, they contain a great deal of truth. They project certain truths. We have not been able to understand what these mythologies contain. Swami Vivekananda said they contain great nuggets of truth. So you don't just dismiss them as old stories. No, they're not old stories. They are universal stories of human nature, of humankind. So all these various gods and goddesses and all these things that you find in all religions, as you transcend your conscious mind, go towards the superconscious mind, you will encounter many visions like these, many beings. Yes, and the yogi sees all these things, but they are like I see this table and chairs and all this thing on the conscious level, and in my subconscious I see whatever I have done, whatever I thought, whatever I said, whatever I've done, eaten, all these things are there. So when I emerge out in the superconscious, I see all these visions and all these beings and all these things. Even if I don't go there, that thing percolates down in my conscious and subconscious mind. That's the reason why we get all these modern myths of a Spider-Man, of a kind of a Batman, and then we have a Ratman, Superman. Somewhere deep down we understand that we have the power, we have such a mind. Yes, we do. In the old days we had Hanuman. Instead of Superman, we have Hanuman. And Hanuman goes and does all these things, and in mythology, unreal. And for them, Superman is a real thing. Yeah. How come? So these myths are kind of telling us about this aspect of the mind which has been closed for so long. And as we open it, it's no longer mythology now. They are no longer myths. Of course, you don't see Spider-Man and Superman there. You might see it in your subconscious mind there because of the impressions. There you will find sublime realms opening up. Conscious mind. This is what is called the various states of samadhi. Samadhi is what? Samadhi is nothing but intense concentration. How do you control the mind? Through intense concentration. As simple as that. How do you cure yourself? Through intense concentration. Swami Vivekananda says if you can concentrate your mind on a particular part which is injured or sick or ill, it concentrates the prana also. And the prana is actually the curative processes in the body. So if you concentrate the mind, prana is concentrated, it goes there and cures the whole thing up. Nice. There are many obstructions, but then I think we can let go these obstructions. I've given you the basic ideas. So maybe next time you can talk about the obstructions to yoga. Next, my Tuesday talk will be, I don't know when, but it's on awareness. During that time, I'll bring in the idea of what obstructs this expansion of awareness. Okay? We stop here for today. Think. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.